Okay, we are live.
Welcome to the Flax Hill Avenue at Highland Avenue intersection improvement, State Project 102-359, the public informational meeting for it. The objective of the meeting is not just to inform you about the project, but also to solicit your feedback and to engage you in a dialogue about the project. We'll start off with a short presentation, and after the presentation, we'll solicit questions and comments from the public. With us tonight is Jim Travers, the Director of Transportation and Mobility Department. We have Garrett Bolella, Assistant Director of TMP, and myself, Michael Yosak, the Principal Engineer. Also with us from the state, we have Bill Grant, the project manager, and Robert Buchanan, the project engineer. This meeting is being recorded. All comments received will be part of the public record. After the presentation has concluded, there will be a question and answer period. Any questions, comments, or concerns should be as specific and relevant to the project as possible. Each commentator will be allocated 3 minutes to state their questions and comments. Participants shall be respectful and considerate of the opinions of others. Any demeaning, derogatory, inflammatory, or vulgar language is not permitted and may result in the offender being removed from the meeting. We will respond to each question. However, we do reserve the right to do so in writing following the meeting if there is not adequate time to respond or if the information must be gathered to adequately respond. Previous commentators will be allowed to speak for an additional 3 minutes after everyone has a chance to speak. And commentators may follow up with their verbal comments in writing. We are using the Zoom meeting platform. So there'll be a raise your hand indicator. You'll be called on by the host during the public comment period for questions and answers. Members of the public who wish to view the meeting but are not participating can view via live stream on the City of Norwalk YouTube channel. That stream is delayed by approximately 20 seconds. Members of the public who wish to provide public comment are encouraged to submit those via email or in writing. Any comments regarding this project should be submitted to Michael Yosak at myosak@norwalkct.org or by mail to Michael Yosak, Principal Engineer, Norwalk City Hall, P.O. Box 5125, 125 East Avenue. Comments to be included as part of the informational meeting record must be received or posted no later than December 15, 2021. This information will be posted on the website, so comments. Brief agenda, project location, project purpose and need, previous studies and public involvement, environmental process, crash data, proposed improvements, project impacts, project schedule, and contact information. So the intersection that we're discussing tonight is Flax Hill Road at Highland Avenue, as you'll see on the picture there. It's a three-way, all-way stop controlled intersection. The Highland Avenue portion has a separated right and left turn lane coming from the south around an island. Traffic on Flax Hill enters Highland Avenue from either side of the island, making for somewhat of a confusing intersection, as you'll see in the next picture. This is a view of the island in a little from the street level. So the purpose and need of this project is to improve the safety and pedestrian mobility at the intersection of Highland Avenue and Flax Hill Road. We want to reduce the number of potential conflict points and crash rates to improve pedestrian and motorist safety there. There have been 17 crashes recorded between 2016 to 2020. 2 of them resulted in injuries. And there was also a fatal crash at this intersection in 2014. Right now, there are 7 conflict points where there's rear end collisions. We would like to reduce that to 3. There's also 4 angle collision points. There's 2 of them you'll see identified in red there, where it's very confusing, and you get a lot of people confused in this intersection of who has the right of way. So if you stand there and observe it, you'll hear some horn blowing, some and other unmentionable signals. So what we like to do is reduce this conflict here, also from 4 to 2. There were some previous studies regarding this project. We had the Roten Middle School's Safe Routes to School project in 2009 that was done by the Southwestern Regional Planning Agency. There were some comments in there from the public at that time that the traffic control in the intersection is very confusing. Drivers are required to assess traffic control twice in a very short distance. Again, in 2012, we had a Norwalk citywide transportation management plan where the Flex Hill Neighborhood Association was interviewed. And they said there's difficult turning movements there, that the triangle is not working out. And they suggested re-examine it and maybe look at a proposed T intersection or a roundabout. So these comments kind of result into 3 projects. We had the Safe Routes to School project, phase 1, which we completed about 2 years ago, which ran from Witch Lane to Knollwood Road. We're working on another project currently right now, which is phase 2, Charcoal Road to Meredith Court. And I have Greg Pacelli here who can offer a little bit of insight on that project.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so as Mike alluded to, we're going to take this another extension of a Safe Routes to School project and continue heading north on Highland Avenue and pretty much connect with this specific project that we're talking about tonight, the intersection of Flax Hill at Highland. So basically, we would just north of Meredith Court on the northern end, we would connect to the intersection improvements at Flax Hill at Highland, and we would work the sidewalks all the way heading south all the way to Charcoal Road, where Mike alluded to, where we would meet up with the previous Safe Routes project. The entire length of it would be about 0.7 miles worth of sidewalks, so be approximately 3,800 linear feet, and that would also include a 5-foot sidewalk, ADA compliant ramps, and crosswalks at all major driveways, especially at the schools, and also intersecting roadways as well throughout the entire length of the corridor. And on top of that, we'd also add some sidewalk segments on the southern travel lane approach as well, where we would add some ADA compliant ramps as well to get those who are coming from Devil's Garden, for instance, coming across and crossing the street onto Highland to get them onto a sidewalk as well. We would also look to incorporate a raised crosswalk as well, along with pedestrian signals or a rectangular rapid flashing beacon as well to slow traffic and vehicle speed and get pedestrians and anyone walking along the corridor safely across the street. And then we also look to incorporate another additional crosswalk as well on the southern end of the project area as well. We will place another rectangular rapid flashing beacon as well for better crossing as well. So this project is fully funded through the Safe Routes to School money. So it is fully funded through city funds through the capital budget process. And the project is planned to begin construction next year. So moving forward, I don't want to spend too much time on this project, but we'll be happy to set up another public meeting to discuss more details and discuss more information regarding it.
Thanks, Greg. And that brings us back to this project, which will complete that corridor, the Flex Hill intersection at Highland Avenue. So you may be familiar with this, some of you attending this meeting may be familiar with this project, as we kind of discussed it with you in 2017 when we had the first public informational meeting on this, where we received some comments and we heard you at that time. And we went back to the drawing board to kind of redesign this to address a lot of your comments. Many liked a current island there. They felt that it provided or served as a community gateway. So we will be looking to retain a island in that area. There was also some comments that will delay and back up traffic on Highland Avenue. We looked at this more closely. We don't feel that it will back up traffic on Highland Avenue. You have about twice as many cars on Flax Hill as you do on Highland Avenue. By tightening up the intersection, by tightening up the distance between the two approaches on Flax Hill Road, the cars will get through there more quickly. So you'll see less delay through this intersection, because there'll also be less driver confusion through this intersection. You have a lot of turns and vehicles that a driver has to process when they go through this intersection, creating all these delays. So we strongly feel that it will improve operation of this intersection. And you also wanted us to look at some alternatives. We will show you those in a moment or two. So here's the alternatives we looked at. One was no build, which is keep the existing conditions, which doesn't do anything to improve safety or pedestrian mobility in the area. Convert it to a conventional T intersection, which we showed you last time, and we heard that the public really wanted to maintain some type of island there. So we kind of put this alternative up to the side. Convert it to a T intersection and install a traffic signal. We don't think there's a real need for a traffic signal there. Stop signs should work well at this time. There's also heavy cost to putting traffic signals and ongoing maintenance. So we don't think it's a great choice for a traffic signal. And I don't think there was a lot of public opposition. I don't think the public wants a traffic signal there either. So we looked at alternative 4, which is our preferred alternative, which is reduce the potential conflict points, particularly the angle and rear end crashes there. And we'll keep the center island as a gateway, which can also act as a speed reducer. And alternative 5 was to construct a roundabout in that area, as somebody requested in one of the previous interviews, as mentioned before. There's a high construction cost to that. There's a right-of-way concern, and occasionally there's difficulty in accommodating larger vehicles and emergency vehicles. They're not very, they're less pedestrian friendly and only slightly reduce the conflict points. So again, we like the alternative that we will show you in a minute or two. So the main goal of an intersection is to facilitate safety, convenience, ease, and comfort of use for the driver, the pedestrian, the bicyclist utilizing the intersection. So to achieve these goals, we look at several factors. Human factors, which is the driver's ability to make decisions, driver's expectancy, decision and reaction time, driver, pedestrian, bicyclist use and habits, the traffic movement considerations, the design and capacity, variety of movements, crash experience, conflict areas, angles of intersection, sight distances, and crosswalks. So putting all these together, this is the way we kind of arrived at the decision to maintain the island and tee up this intersection. Just to take a look at some of the crash data. The accidents are happening in clear weather. So basically the accidents are not weather related. They're leading us to believe that there's something they're due to the design of the island. They're occurring during the day, so it's not due to darkness or other issues. And there's a lot of front to rear end collisions. So basically that's leading us to believe that people are kind of confused when they get to the intersection. One stopping, the other person behind them is not aware they're stopping, making decisions. Fortunately, most of them are only resulting in property damage, but property damage could get rather expensive to drivers. Your car could be easily totaled or something. And there was also two injuries, and those are occurring at night when the intersection is dark and it's harder to see what the other vehicle is really doing. So this is really the intent of trying to straighten out and provide a conventional intersection here. So this is basically what we're trying to do with the intersection. So we're leaving an island here, so it still acts as a gateway, as people have expressed interest in. We're adding another crosswalk on the south side of Flax Hill. We're tightening up the intersection so vehicles are able to get through there. And we're going to improve some of the sidewalks, make it easier for pedestrians, and make them ADA accessible. Impacts of the project: Flex Hill Avenue will remain open during construction. The proposed improvements for determined have no foreseeable capacity to affect historic properties under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. Highland Avenue may be closed at times during construction, but we will try to keep it open as much as possible. There are some times where we may have to close a lane in a direction to get the to build the island or get some of the curbing in. There will be temporary police or flag or traffic control will be in place. Access for local residents, emergency service vehicles will be maintained throughout construction, and we will work to coordinate this project with the school schedule so we don't interfere with major school events, as there are 3 schools on Highland Avenue within close proximity, and the buses and parents and everybody uses route to get there. So we want to minimize inconveniences. The project is funded under the federal local road accident reduction program, and is administered by the Connecticut Department of Transportation. The estimated total project cost is about $375,000, which is funded with 90% federal money and 10% city funds. And the project design is being funded internally 100% with city funds, mostly through city staff. So here's a quick rundown of the project schedule. The public comment period will run from tomorrow, December 1st through December 15th. We need the comments back at the end of the day, December 15th, either by email or by mail. We'll review those public comments. We'll incorporate them as warranted. Then we'll look to obtain council resolution sometime in January. The final project, based on successful council approval, will begin final project plan work. We'd like to have those completed around late spring of 2022. Send those to Condot for their review. Hopefully get project advertising in the fall, winter of 2022, and like to construct this in spring to summer of 2023. And here's the contact information. I don't know, Jim, would you like to say something on this project, or?
Sure, Mike. Could you bring us back to the map, please?
Sure.
Or the right there. Perfect.
This one.
Right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Jim Travers. I'm the Director of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking. I think, for those of you I haven't met yet, I joined the city about 9 months ago. And in one of the first opportunities I started to look at is where were we with grant funded projects, and how do we move them? And in going around there, the first one I knew that we had a Safe Routes to School grant for Highland, and found this intersection. My first trip out there, I have to say, I was very confused, right? I paused, as I think many people do who are relatively new to the intersection. And I think what Mike has presented today is a good project to look at, to improve mobility and to improve safety, right? I think this project, as Mike indicated before, is funded by the Local Road Accident Reduction Program. It's a federal program administered by the Department of Transportation. We're lucky enough to have two of the gentlemen join us tonight. So I'd like to show the appreciation of the Department of Transportation for helping cities like Norwalk address these issues, right? Garrett is the Assistant Director of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking. We're out at this intersection today during school dismissal. And I think what struck me the most, being standing there observing, was the amount of times that horns are beeping, right? Which is a clear indication for us that there's a problem. And I think we as transportation professionals have an obligation to look at opportunities to improve safeties on our roadways. And I think this one, will also recognized in the city and also recognized by the state, we could do it with this project. I also recognize the fact that there was concern with the community regarding maintaining the island, keeping this as a gateway to their neighborhood. And I think that what we presented here is a plan that does both, right? It keeps a portion of the island that's there, allows for the movement, but also adds green space to each side of the roadway, right? And I think that's also another unique opportunity for us to potentially plant really large trees that will grow to become the gateway, and really have that as a grand entrance into the neighborhood. Really looking at the operations today, I could see how we have the rear end collisions, right? Because we saw a number of opportunities for those to happen today. I applaud Mike for taking this up and moving it forward. I think we would love to hear some of the comments from people today, see if there's an opportunity for us to fine tune something. But then we'd really like to tie this in to a much larger project, a much larger betterment of the neighborhood. So as Greg talked about before, we want to install nearly 3/4 of a mile of sidewalks that will connect to existing sidewalks on Highland. So we'll have a concrete curb, asphalt sidewalk, ADA ramps throughout. We'll have a raised crosswalk, making it even safer for kids to walk to school, right? I think we have a great opportunity to do that here. And then we will follow it up with these intersection improvements. And then when these intersection improvements are done, we will work with our Department of Public Works to have pavement restoration on the remaining part of the corridor. So I think we can, have these three projects combined to really create some sustainable change that happens in the neighborhood. So, Mike, I'll turn it back over to you, and we can go from there. But thank you.
Thank you. I guess we can open it up to questions now. Larry, do we have any questions out there?
Yes, if anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand electronically now, and I will unmute you. Please state your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes. Okay, the first person we have is Lisa Wilson Grant. Lisa, if you unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hello, yes, I live, I'm Lisa Wilson Grant. I live at 377 Highland Avenue across from Brookside School. I am very concerned that a stop sign or a traffic light would create a stopping event, which would be dangerous for people coming down the road. In the 20 years that I've lived here, only couple doors down from the intersection, I've never seen a collision at this intersection. And I have seen more if there's a stopping car, that getting rear-ended. So that is the first thing. And with Brookside School, the ins and outs, it's too crowded there to have people stopped and have the flow. I think right now it's almost like a roundabout where people go. The only issue I have is sometimes people don't stop and they go 2 at a time. So I just think simply a sign that says, do not go, 2 at a time, 1 at a time, or something like that would make the flow better. And separately, this is a historic a graceful curve. For the founding of Norwalk, this was the Indian Trail, the old country road, Old Kings Highway. Nathan Hale came down this road on his fateful mission where he left Norwalk and went to Long Island Sound. And there are other graceful intersections that accommodated horses with carriages that would make this turn. So I think the footprint of the way it is significant to the history of Norwalk. And, unfortunately, one of them, a Keeler Avenue, was made into a T. You can still see the remnants of where the wall is with a graceful curve. But I would like to see this become like Nathan Hale Trail, because I just restored a historic fountain at Fodor Farm to Nathan Hale. And because he came down this road, George Washington came down this road. I mean, there's a lot of history in this footprint of the way the curves of the road are. That is, one of the last things that hasn't been destroyed in the history of Norwalk, particularly back that far to the Indians, like 1600s to the founding of Norwalk. So those are my things. Plus, I think that people stopped, there'll just be more emissions, which is not healthy, all 3 ways, having people idle. And it's already hard enough to get out when the schools are letting out. I can deal with that. But to have people stopped for lengthy time at a stop, it's just going to cause much more congestion. And I don't think a traffic study has been done, just like it was with the start times of the school, made it early, which was a nightmare, which didn't work. I think that needs to be looked at for that, but I just am in opposition of the project. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Oh, there was someone else with their hand up. Anyone else like to speak? Please raise your hand electronically now. All right, we have Scott. Scott, if you'd like to speak.
Hi, my name is Scott Teed. I live on the first house on the right of Westview Lane, which is number 2. And I probably represent everyone who lives on Westview Lane, where we find it impossible to get out of the street. we cannot take a left or a right out of this street because of the placement of the stop sign further up on Flax Hill right to the right from Highland Avenue. We basically have to rely on people coming from Keeler Avenue up Flax Hill to allow us to enter into the street. And this has been a problem for years, and this has always been an issue. And I, being the first house, have had a house probably hit by a driver who missed the island and hit the house and took out my garage door and did some additional damage because he fell asleep at the wheel. So I just want that to be brought into the discussion. And that's all I really have to say for everyone on Westview Lane.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak?
If I could just to address this, Scott, if you could send an email to Mr. Yosak regarding those concerns of exiting. We want to make sure that your comments become part of that public record. But if we'd also like an opportunity to respond. So if you could follow back up with an email, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I do not see anyone else looking to speak. So we'll turn it back to you, Mr. Yosak.
Okay. Thank you everyone for attending. Again, if we can get your comments in writing, that would be great. We'll make them part of the record. This presentation will be posted on the city website within the next few days. So if there's others that you know of that haven't been able to see this presentation and are interested, please point them in the direction of this thing so they can take a look. And again, any comments that you want to make, please send them to us by December 15th so we can evaluate this project. Thank you everyone for your time.
And I just wanted to follow up with one thing. So thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you for accommodating Ms. Wilson Grant. We do have your email. We will have a response for you shortly. So we will follow back up in writing with you. And then for that gentleman, Scott, again, if you could just email Michael Yosak, MYEOSOCK @norwalkct.org. We would love to respond to those and look at that as well. All right. So on behalf of the Transportation, Mobility, and Parking Department, thank you for coming today. And again, this will be posted on the city's website. So please send your friends and neighbors who want to see this to there as well. And we will be in touch with you soon.